01:43 hours, November 19, 2025. In Novorossiysk, the brand new $180 million headquarters for Russia's Black Sea Fleet Navy Command stood as a symbol of military power. In an instant, it ceased to exist. 3 Ukrainian Neptune missiles, a showcase of modern weapons, had converted the 7-story command center into a smoking crater. The strike was a decapitation, instantly blinding Moscow's entire southern fleet. The Russian military command was certain of its defense. They believed their layered air defense network was an impenetrable steel shield. Instead, a wave of low-cost drones had just tricked their formidable warfare technology. The billion-dollar defense systems had been compromised, opening a path for the kill shot. This is the war analysis of how they did it. 23 minutes earlier, 01:20 hours. Deep inside a reinforced bunker near Odessa, the atmosphere is clinical. 3 R-360 Neptune missiles roar to life from their launch platforms. They surge from their mobile launchers, disappearing into the pitch-black void over the Black Sea. These are not simple weapons. These are 1,900-pound predators, each carrying a 330-pound warhead of octol high explosive, specifically designed for this type of war. Their single purpose: to punch through reinforced concrete. Once stabilized, they plummet to a wave-skimming altitude of just 10 feet. To put that in perspective, these missiles are flying lower than the deck of a standard fishing trawler, a tactic of modern warfare. They are effectively using the Earth's curvature as a shield, rendering them invisible to long-range radar. However, Voron, the mission commander, is not relying on stealth alone. He knows that launching his best weapons directly against a billion-dollar air defense network is a futile gesture. It is a waste of ammunition. First, he has to confuse the sentry. 60 miles off the coast, another element of this global conflict is put into motion. On an unmarked trawler, a hidden pneumatic launcher coughs to life. 6 Ukrainian Gerber-style plywood decoys are shot into the night sky. These drones are an ingenious, locally produced version of Russia's own decoy designs. Their construction is deceptively simple: plywood airframes, chainsaw-type engines, and foam wings, costing roughly $9,000 apiece. But each one carries a critical piece of defense technology. A Lüneburg lens is mounted on its belly, turning an inexpensive drone into a radar ghost the size of a B-52 bomber, fooling the advanced Russian systems. For the Russian operators on Markov Hill, this small tennis ball-sized reflector manipulates physics on their radar screens. It makes a $9,000 decoy appear with the massive radar signature of a B-52 bomber. This military update is unfolding with precision timing. The entire operation is calculated down to the millisecond. The decoys are the vanguard. They will arrive exactly 90 seconds before the Neptunes. Inside the Russian command center, red threat rings flood the tactical displays. The Podlet K-1 radar is sweeping a 186-mile radius. Below it, Pantsir S-1 missile batteries are scanning. Theoretically, this system creates a 155-mile no-fly zone. But Voron is counting on a specific doctrine, the Russian doctrine: engage first, verify later. A single Pantsir vehicle carries 12 ready-to-fire missiles. Once those tubes are empty, the crew needs 5 excruciating minutes to reload. The plan is brutal mathematics. 6 plywood decoys are more than enough to trigger a response. The Russian soldiers are baited into wasting their entire ready magazine on what they believe are heavy bombers, while their attention is diverted. And they are confirming their kills. 3 subsonic Neptune missiles are slipping under the radar horizon, bringing 990 pounds of explosive. This is a lethal payload for an opponent caught in a reload cycle. The 238-mile journey across the Black Sea is a testament to tactical planning, a masterclass in physics and deception. Leading the charge, the 6 decoys are painting the electromagnetic spectrum with false signals. The Russian Air Force jammers respond, blasting broadband noise to sever the command link, like shouting in a nightclub to drown out a whisper. But the decoy radios are frequency hopping 500 times per second. For the incoming missiles, the path is now clear, and this was only the beginning. Per second. An electronic shell game the Russians cannot win. This is 21st century warfare. Meanwhile, 90 seconds adrift, the three Neptunes hold their course. Silent killers, skimming the waves, salt spray misting their intakes. They are ghosts, shielded by the curve of the earth, awaiting the signal. The breach, and the door, is a fortress of steel. Atop Marat Hill, the Podlet K1 radar system stands watch, a digital overlord tracking 200 contacts. Deep in the command bunker, the atmosphere shifts. Coffee is forgotten. The air crackles with combat readiness. The Air Force defense crews stand ready. Their confidence is absolute. Their belief in their Mach 3 missiles is unshakable. Their 30mm cannons are poised for a kill. They are blind to the real threat, already nested beneath their feet. 11 days prior, the windswept cliffs of Marat. 4 soldiers from Ukraine's SSO, special troops on a critical mission. They are motionless in the limestone dust, cloaked in thermal-masking ghillie suits, invisible to advanced defense technology. They are just another patch of scrub. 6 miles on foot through hostile territory inserted by Zodiac. The target? The Podlet K1. The radar truck sits just 164 feet away. Between the objective and the team, a single Russian sentry. Bored, smoking. The team leader, call sign Ghost, controls his breathing. His heart rate is a steady 55. Ice water in his veins. He sees the sentry glance at a phone. The signal is given. Ghost moves. Not a rush, a painstaking, deliberate crawl. Every dislodged pebble sounds like a rifle crack in the dead of night. He reaches the cold steel chassis of the Kamas truck. Above, the massive radar dish hums, alive with thousands of volts. He slips under the frame. The generator's heat is a physical weight. He reveals the sleeper device, a brick of C4 inside a 3D printed case, mimicking a standard vehicle component. He sets the magnetic clamps. A faint click. Metal on metal. The sentry pauses. The beam of his flashlight cuts through the darkness. Ghost becomes stone. The light plays across his boots, then lingers on the differential gear, where the charge is now hidden. For 3 seconds, the war stops. If the guard lowers the beam 6 inches, the mission is compromised. Ghost is eliminated. The guard grunts, spits, and turns away. He registered nothing but grease and steel. Ghost releases a silent breath. He activates the Starlink link. The charge is now live. It will listen and wait for 11 days as the enemy troops sleep on the instrument of their own destruction. Back to the present. 1:41 a.m. 2 minutes to impact. In Odessa, Voron enters a single command. On Marat's Hill, the sleeper awakens. 20 pounds of high explosive detonate with brutal efficiency. The blast severs the Podlet K1's mast like a dead branch. Inside the Novorossiysk command center, the battlefield goes dark. Screens bleed red. Data link severed. Order evaporates into panic. A perfect digital picture of this global conflict dissolves into a snowstorm of static. The Russian air defense network, a moment ago a symphony of destruction, is now chaos. A room full of blind operators. The Pantsir commanders shout into dead comms. Without the primary radar feed, their army is sightless. They scramble to engage their local onboard sensors, desperate for a lock. Suddenly, 6 Gerber decoys burn onto their screens. Close range. The Lüneburg lenses make the decoy weapons appear immense, lethal. A voice cries out, "Targets acquired." 6 heavy contacts, closing fast. On the radar screen, fear flashes into a frenzy. The Russian troops dispense with identification protocols. Their only order: eliminate those terrifying blips from the sky. The first salvo erupts. 457 E-6 missiles ignite, screaming from their launch rails and accelerating to Mach 3 in just 2 seconds. They streak toward the lead Gerber decoys. But these are not simple targets. These drones are a key part of this modern warfare tactic, programmed with chaotic evasion algorithms. The lead Gerber lurches, banking hard left. It pulls a punishing 4G turn, an impossible maneuver for any heavy bomber. The Russian missile, a weapon from their defense systems designed to intercept a lumbering aircraft, struggles to correct its trajectory. Its guidance fins snap to their absolute limit. It overshoots by a mere 10 meters. The warhead detonates, a harmless flash in the clouds. A strained voice crackles over the comms. "Miss! Target 1 is maneuvering! It's too fast!" The operator shouts, sweat blurring his vision. The target on his screen moves like no bomber he's ever tracked. The Pantsir's advanced defense technology is being tested. Its fire control computer is caught in a logic loop. The radar signature screams heavy aircraft, but the flight dynamics scream fighter jet. A critical moment in this global conflict. The second salvo is launched. No more chances are taken. The command is given ripple fire. 2 of their most modern weapons for every single target. A Gerber drone executes a perfect split-S maneuver, a plume of smoke trailing from its miniature engine. One of the Russian missiles acquires a lock. It tracks the heat signature, diving in pursuit. At an altitude of 500 feet, the missile's proximity fuse triggers. The resulting shockwave obliterates the decoy's fiberglass wings. The drone simply disintegrates into a cloud of plastic and circuits. Target 2 is neutralized, but 5 contacts remain, swarming the airspace. In another sector, another Gerber executes a corkscrew climb. It draws the fire of the automated 30mm cannons. Red tracers stitch the darkness, ripping through the air where the drone was moments before. The Russian soldiers are desperate, hammering their consoles, firing blindly into a sky full of ghosts. Their entire military effort is focused on phantoms. A third salvo is required. The last of their ready-to-fire missiles. It's a final, desperate attempt to clear the air. The sky ignites. 5 fireballs bloom against the black canvas as the interceptors find their marks. The explosions are disproportionately large, fueled by the remaining gasoline in the simple lawnmower engines powering the decoys. "Targets destroyed! All clear! We got 'em!" A young lieutenant cheers. His voice cracks with adrenaline. He high-fives his operator, relief washing over the command post. For a moment, these troops believe they are heroes of this war. They believe they have just won a significant engagement, repelling a squadron of strategic bombers. Then, the smoke from the intercepts begins to clear. The radar completes its next sweep, a full 360-degree rotation. The screen is clear. The sky is empty. But on the console, the ammunition counter tells the true story of this warfare. It blinks a single terrifying word in Cyrillic: empty. The reload crane is parked 1,640 feet away. The crew needs 5 critical minutes to rearm. "Switch to the guns!" the lieutenant screams. The twin 30mm autocannons are their final line of defense. But the air is a chaotic mess of smoke and falling debris from the destroyed drones. The sheer clutter on the battlefield blinds the optical sensors. Without the primary radar to cut through the noise, the guns are effectively useless. Any war analysis will point to this critical failure. And at that exact moment of vulnerability, skimming just 10 feet above the harbor wall, 3 Neptune missiles appear on the screens. The lieutenant's relief vanishes. He stares at the optical feed, paralyzed. 3 subsonic shadows, sleek and deadly, are closing fast. They are streaking toward the headquarters at 600 miles per hour. He slams the launch button. Nothing. The launchers are empty. A cold, sinking feeling grips him. He's been played. The entire sophisticated Russian army defense installation has been depleted. They expended their most advanced interceptors on $54,000 worth of plywood and small engines, leaving the door wide open for the real threat. Russian defense systems click on empty chambers. The endgame is set. 3 Neptune missiles breach the harbor wall. They are now 8 seconds from impact. The first weapon, designated Alpha, adjusts its trajectory, clearing the tree line. Its infrared seeker flares to life, scanning the thermal profile of the target. The $180 million headquarters burns white-hot against the cold night. The seeker locks on. The heat signature of the server, room on the 7th floor. The brain of the Navy fleet. Inside, an admiral hears the distant thunder of air defense. He mistakes it for victory. He raises a cup of coffee. At 1:43 in the morning, Alpha. hits the northeast corner of the 7th floor. Its 330-pound warhead does not detonate on contact. That would be unsophisticated. A delayed fuse allows the missile to tear through the outer wall, through reinforced concrete, and into the heart of the conference room. Only then does it detonate. The explosion channels a Monroe effect, a focused jet of superheated gas and molten metal moving at nearly 26,000 feet per second. This modern weapon doesn't just destroy the room, it vaporizes it. The overpressure wave erupts outwards, shattering every window on the top 3 floors. The Admiral's coffee cup explodes in his hand before the sound arrives. But Alpha was only the opening strike. 2 seconds later, Bravo. It impacts the 6th floor, its target, the C4I. Center. Command. Control. Communications. Computers. Intelligence. The warhead ignites miles of fiber, optic lines, and server racks. This is not just a fire. It is the destruction of data, a key tactic in modern warfare. In a single millisecond, encrypted orders, the locations of ships, the entire digital nervous system of these troops and sailors is erased. And then, Charlie. The 3rd Neptune takes a different approach. It dives low, aiming for the building's structural knees. It strikes a primary support column on the ground floor, adjacent to the fuel storage for the backup generators. The physics of this impact are absolute. The blast shears steel rebar like straw. The diesel fuel atomizes, igniting in a thermobaric blast that starves the lower levels of oxygen. The structure is crippled. The concrete groans. Gravity assumes command. The 7th floor falls onto the 6th. The 6th pancakes onto the 5th. A progressive collapse, a domino effect of thousands of tons of steel and concrete. In 9 seconds, the pride of the Russian military, a fortress designed to survive a nuclear war, folds like a house of cards. Miles away, an operator watches the feed from surveillance drones. The target's bright signature is gone, replaced by a black stain of smoke. The laptop closes. Mission complete. Dawn breaks over Novorossiysk. It reveals the smoking, skeletal ruin of what was only yesterday the heart of the Black Sea Fleet's defense. But to measure this strike in concrete is to miss the point. This global conflict is defined by such moments. The physical calculation is brutal. The Ukrainian side spent roughly $6 million on this operation. The weapons, the decoys, the logistics. This military update is stark. In exchange, they eliminated a $180 million facility, $50 million in data centers, and irreplaceable encrypted communications. But the true war analysis reveals a deeper cost. The devastation is unseen. It radiates from this crater, a shockwave shattering the strategic reality of this war. With their primary headquarters gone, the Black Sea Fleet is decapitated. The very nervous system of its military operations. The command that coordinated missile strikes and naval blockades has been severed. The Navy's ships are adrift, voices crackling over backup comms. Uncoordinated, vulnerable, Moscow now faces an impossible choice, a decision that will impact their entire defense posture. They must pull their prized S-400 defense systems from the active fronts in Kherson and Zaporizhia, just to plug the gaping hole in their rear. This is the zero-sum game of modern warfare. Every air defense radar moved back is a new highway in the sky. A highway opened for the Ukrainian Air Force's F-16s to hunt over the front lines. Ukraine has effectively forced Russia to weaken its own army to save its navy. Consider the 4 soldiers of that SSO team. 11 days ago, these troops didn't just press a button. They rode a Zodiac into the blackness of enemy waters and hiked 6 miles through hostile terrain. They crawled on their bellies right under the nose of a Russian sentry to place a charge on a single radar truck. They executed their mission, then melted back into the shadows. A clean extraction. This single operation speaks volumes. It defines the difference between 2 armies. Where Russia relies on mass steel, Ukraine is fighting with different weapons. With imagination, precision, and nerves of steel. This is the story of engineers who realized a $5,000 hobby drone could defeat a $15 million Panzer system. A victory of defense technology achieved by a superior understanding of physics. It is a stark reminder to the world. This is not just a war of machines. This is a war of people. A people refusing to be conquered, using their wits to level a battlefield that should be impossible to win. This is the latest military update. This strike lands a heavy blow on the diplomatic table. For months, the Kremlin projected an image of stability in this global conflict, a narrative for its citizens and the world. The war is distant, the motherland secure. Novorossiysk was to be the sanctuary, the untouchable rear where admirals drank coffee and planned the next phase of warfare. That illusion is now buried under rubble. When you can strike the enemy's safest command center with such impunity, you change the negotiation leverage entirely. It signals to Western allies that their aid isn't just holding the line, it is enabling precise strategic victories. And it whispers a terrifying truth to Moscow. There is no safe harbor. If you cannot protect your headquarters hundreds of miles from the front, your modern weapons cannot protect anything. If this war analysis of intelligence defeating brute force is what you want to see, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm. It finds more people who appreciate smart tactics. Subscribe, because the Black Sea is heating up, and you will not want to miss what happens next.